This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to your Monday edition of the afternoon show. It is June 30th, last day of June, last show of June for this year. And we have a lot to discuss. A lot happened over the weekend, a lot of recap, and also some news to happen today on this Monday, all before 2 o'clock. So we have a packed show here today. I'm joined, of course, once again by Tony and Chris Gonzalez. Guys, how you doing? And how was your weekend before we get into all the nuts and bolts that what all happened?
Pretty good.
Doing good. Weekend was pretty good.
Good. I'm about to say I had a nice weekend here. A little bit of rain. I know you said earlier in the pre-show y'all had been getting a little bit of rain up there in Indiana, but hopefully, just a little bit of summer rain ain't too bad. But we'll be good and we'll get through it. But before we get into everything today, if you enjoy the show, like, comment, share, subscribe, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, anywhere you can think of. Best way to find it, though, is the link tree in the description where you can find all of our shows and all of the social media, all the platforms over there. All right, well, guys, let's just go back to the weekend, right? Back to Friday, back to Saturday. We'll talk about some boxing, some MMA, some wrestling here. So I know you guys, we had mentioned on the show on Friday that there was a Jake Paul fight, and we were all in the camp of we want him to lose and get knocked out, and that was not the case. Now, I know you guys watched the fight, so I will turn it over to you all, to both of you, so you can describe what happened and your thoughts on the next Jake Paul unanimous decision victory. Chris, we'll start with you first, and just your initial thoughts of what you watched.
For about the first 7 rounds of the fight, it was the worst damn fight I'd ever watched in my life.
That bad, huh?
In the first 7 rounds, I don't think Chavez Jr. threw a total of 10 punches. If he was over 10 punches in the first 7 rounds combined, I'd be surprised. Like, he didn't hardly throw no punches at all. Now, the last 3 rounds, he actually started fighting, and he hit Paul with some good shots. The last 3 rounds were pretty good to watch. But if he would have came out like that, it would probably been a pretty good fight to watch, because the last 3 rounds I thought were entertaining, but the first 7 was terrible. Like, it was just basically Jake Paul just punching the guy, because the guy, I mean, he was blocking a lot of it, but he wouldn't fire nothing back. And he hit Paul with a couple of hard left hooks in that later in the round, and Paul was starting to get tired. I think if he'd pushed that pace earlier, Chavez might have had a chance, but he didn't. He just didn't throw enough volume at all in the first, like I said, seven rounds of a 10-round fight.
So I found it here, Chris, and then I'll kick it over to you, Tony. I'm just going to read through the amount of punches thrown from Chavez through the first 7 rounds, okay? And this is on boxingscene.com that has all the stats listed here, so this is where I'm getting this from. Round 1, 2 punches. Or excuse me, 4 punches. 4 punches in the first round, followed up by 7, 3, 12 in the 4th round, followed up by 10 in the 5th, and 16 in the 6th, and 11 in the 7th. I mean, that's not going to get you much. Like I said, round 7 through 11, followed up by 25 in the 8th, 35 in the 9th, and 31 in the 10th and final round. I mean, first off, in the first round, you only throw. I get showed at your opponent, but only 4 punches. I mean, you can't even get anything. You can't get any range or anything off of that. That's jabs and everything combined.
I don't think any of them 4 landed.
They did not. It was 0%. He landed 2 in the 2nd round and then 1 in the 3rd. So he only landed 3 punches in 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pitiful. And then when you look at compared to Jake Paul, right? He threw 39 punches in the first round. So, I mean, just in the 1 round alone, he outthrown him by, it took him 7 rounds to catch up. So that's just,
like I said,
these become
if he'd have fought the first 7 like he did the last 3, he would have had a chance. Right on the outside, like trying to get him to go. Like, it just, I don't know what took him so long to finally get going. But once he got going, it was competitive. But it just took him way too long to get going.
And also, too, Paul was throwing a large amount of punches, obviously because, like I said, he's younger, he's got fresh legs, all that. But in terms of accuracy, and like you had mentioned, Chris, I'm just looking at the last 3 rounds here. Yeah, Chavez didn't throw a whole lot, but what he did land, he connected at nearly 50%. It was 44% in the 8th, 48 in the 7th, or in the 9th, and then the final round was 38, but that's going to dip a little bit. But I'd like to say, if he had done that for the entire 10 rounds, it would have been a lot more probably competitive. Like I say, he lost by unanimous decision, but when you just look at that alone, that's a big reason. But Tony, I want to get your opinion on the Cesar Chavez fight, junior fight, and Jake Paul, who continues to, I guess, rule the boxing world at this time. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I watched the first 3 or 4 rounds, got pissed off. I turned it and was watching UFC. Well, it got over with. So I went back and I picked up the 8th, 9th, and 10th round where he fought. And I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, like Chris said, if he would have fought a little harder in the earlier rounds, it could have been it probably could have been a hell of a fight. Paul's not that good. I want to see him fight somebody that's, more closer to his age and and has had 14, 15 pro fights and is in their prime, and see what happens. They say they're going to rank him. How do you rank? How can he get ranked when he's not fought anybody? I don't understand that, but they claim he's going to get ranked.
Go ahead.
The only other real boxer he fought was Fury, and he lost.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, and that was his only real kind of competitor. And I mean, that was years ago at this point.
And no disrespect to that Fury, but he's not a high level, like he's not a
he's not his brother
boxer.
No,
he's not his brother.
No, but that was it is what it is. Did you guys watch any other fights on that card, or did you just stick around for the main?
I just watched the main.
You mean?
I saw a little bit of the fight before, but I didn't know either of the guys. We had the UFC. We had it on split screen, so we had the UFC on one side, and we had that fight on the other side, but we wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it.
I got you. Okay, and when you mentioned you're watching UFC 317, and we'll go ahead and transition into that now. We'll just talk about the main card. If you guys want to mention the undercard, you're more than welcome to. But I'll just kind of look through the main card here. Obviously, 5 fights, 2 title fights at the end there. And so what were your guys' thoughts on this pay-per-view, number 317 for the UFC? Chris, we'll switch it up. Start with you first.
It was a pretty solid card. The main event and co-main event went pretty much how I thought it would. I thought Pantoja would be way too much for France, just like he was last time. I don't know what they're going to do with Pantoja in that weight class. They have nobody really for him to fight. I know what's his name called him out, but we've seen that fight. I think this would be the 5th time him and that Moreno would fight. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. And then Tapora in the main event just knocked that. Oliveira was actually looking better in that first round than I expected. It was a competitive fight until he got his head knocked off and then got hit about 3 more times while he was out. The fight of the night was Brandon Royval and Joshua Van. By far, that was the best fight on the card. Them guys went at it all 3 rounds and just beat the hell out of each other. It was a real entertaining fight, and Van ended up getting the win. To me, that was definitely the best fight of the night.
Yeah, and that was a unanimous decision. Did you feel like that was correct, or did you feel that it should have been a split decision? And the card, the decision was 29-28, 29-28, and then finally 30-27. There's always that one outlier that you can always look at. But what were your thoughts? Did you feel that was the right decision?
Yeah, I thought it was the right decision. It was real competitive, but I thought Van done enough to get the unanimous decision. I don't know if I'd have had it. I think the 29-28 was a lot closer. Was a lot better, more accurate scoring of it than the 30-27. I could have seen them all 3 having 29-28s, but yeah, 30-27 is a little overboard.
Yeah, and Tony, what were your thoughts on the main card for UFC 317 with the 2 championship fights, and as Chris mentioned, his kind of fight of the night there in that 3rd match?
Yeah, the fight of the night with that Van, man, it was fantastic. I thought the decision was right. The 30-27, I don't know about, but the interesting, well, I was a little worried about the decision because the one guy was the number one ranked guy in that division. Van was 12. And so I thought he did enough to get the win, but you never know sometimes with these number one ranked guys or a champion. So, but I thought he won the fight and that he got the decision. The other thing, Van took that fight on he had fought 3 weeks ago. And ended up taking this fight because the other opponent was out, and he got the win. So he's going to move up the rankings. He looked fantastic. But the other two fights were well, the one fight, Pantoja just was all over them. That guy didn't have a chance, and I didn't think he would. The other fight, man, that knockout. I mean, Chris, what do you think? Did you think? Yeah. You can't do it much cleaner. Do you think he's as good as anybody who's out there right now, Chris?
Yes, other than me and Austin was talking about it because Austin came over and watched fights with me Saturday. But I'd have him up there by anybody, but right now I have Merab Dvalishvili is who I would have as the best pound for pound. But I'd have Topuria right up there with him.
Yeah,
he's close, but I'd have Dvalishvili up there just ahead of him.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Do you think now what weight classes are them guys in? How much difference?
See, that was the lightweight.
You said that was the Pantoja fight?
No, Merab. No, it's Merab. He fought in the last. I think that might be middleweight. Maybe I can look it up.
So we would probably never see that fight.
No,
too much difference in size.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, Merab is the
bantamweight.
Yeah, bantamweight.
Okay. Yeah, it was a pretty good card. I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I said, that he looked dominant. I mean, and you look at the last three fighters. Three of the fighters he's beat kind of UFC legends. I mean, he's destroying them. He's knocking them out. And guys have never been knocked out before. So. He's real impressive. So it was a pretty good card.
I know.
Yeah, and yep.
I know. Austin don't like him. He thinks he's too cocky. So he was rooting for the other guy, but he figured that Topuria was going to win. But he said, I just want the other guy to win because I think he's too cocky. But I say that when you're fighting, you have to have that. You have to have that ego to you. I mean, because you're out there by yourself, you have to have that belief in yourself that you're the best. So I mean, in fighting, you gotta have that ego show some.
Yeah, guys show it in different ways. Obviously, some are more outlandish about it, and they're hyping themselves up, and some are a lot more secluded. But hey, that's just how some people like to express themselves. One thing I want to mention, though, and I'm sure you guys saw if you didn't watch the undercard, but really the whole fight. It was only 55 seconds. The Terrence McKinney fight over Borshev, he got the guillotine in under a minute in round one. I mean, that was I've seen just the whole fight on X. I was like, oh man, he did some great transitioning work and then got to win a tight guillotine at the end. I'd seen that got pushed around a lot, and just people were impressed with how well he took that fight.
There was a nasty knockout, knockout by a knee on them in the prelims. I forget the guy's name now, but it was nice.
It's either the only two other knockouts in the undercard was Jose Miguel Delgado and Gregory Rodriguez. Those are the ones who got the win first round knockout for both of those gentlemen.
Yeah, I think it was Rodriguez that hit the knee. Because those were back-to-back knockouts, because it was like boom, boom. Like the prelims was getting some quick finishes.
Yeah, it took no time at all to, for some of these guys to wrap up their work for the night. But that'll conclude UFC 317. As we keep moving on here, we're going to go from the octagon to the ring. We're talking wrestling, talking WWE. And as we know, this past weekend was their PLE, PPV, whatever you want to call it, Night of Champions, live from Saudi Arabia. In large, obviously, a lot of people hyped this up. A lot of really, kind of really solid matches. I was kind of go over the card here, and then we'll just kind of give our general discussion over it. Cody Rhodes beat Randy Orton in the opening match to win the King of the Ring, followed up by Rhea Ripley beating up Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. Next one, it was Karrion Kross it was Sami Zayn beating Karrion Kross with that. And then we have a new U.S. champion, Solo Sikoa. He got the win there, beating Jacob Fatu, ending his reign. Jade Cargill, she beat Asuka to win the women's Queen of the Ring. And then, as we know, at the very end, CM Punk and John Cena. John Cena continues his reign of taunting and tormenting the fans during this final run here. So he gets the win through various shenanigans we'll kind of get more into. But that was just kind of the rundown for the main card. So, Tony, we'll give you the ball first and talk about what you thought of the PLE here with Night of Champions and what were your kind of overall thoughts.
I really enjoyed it. I give it probably a B+ overall. I thought the first two matches were the best. The main event was really good, but the first two matches were the best matches other than the main event. Cody Rhodes and Orton put on a great show, planted some seeds afterwards with maybe an Orton heel turn maybe down the road. I don't know how soon that'll be because, of course, Cody's got the main event. I don't know if it'll be the main event, but I think it'll be the main event one night at SummerSlam, going for the belt again against Cena. My favorite match tonight was Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. I thought they put on a heck of a show, really hard hitting. I thought that was the best Raquel's looked since she's come back. She's had some health issues and stuff, but I thought it was a fantastic match. I thought Karrion Kross got a pretty good rub. He got most of the moves. Karrion Kross controlled most of that match, and Sami Zayn pulled it out at the end. The Solo Sikoa match I liked. It was pretty good. Took about 5 guys to beat one, which is kind of typical with the bad guys sometimes. Yeah. But I thought it was solid. The match that fell off for me was the Queen of the Ring. We had talked about that on our show Thursday night, me and Chris and the guys that was on the show, about Jade Cargill not really being ready for the moment. And unfortunately, she showed again that she's not ready for the moment, in my opinion. She messed up the pinfall. She rotated too far over and fell off of her before the pin was even over, and they still went ahead and counted the pin anyway. She's just not ready. I know she looks like a star, but she's not performing like a star. That's just my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against her. I hope she makes it big. I think she's got the look. I just don't know what the answer is. We talked on the show the other day that she should have went to NXT. I know she was in AEW and she was a big star in AEW, but they spoon-fed her, got people, and she never really had big challenges. And she wasn't ready for the big time. She should have went to NXT. And then the main event was as overbooked as you could get in a match. But I mean, you couldn't overbook it anymore. But it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, and the crowd loved it. The Saudi Arabia fans, that was probably their match of the night, the way they reacted. So, but it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I mean, I just love wrestling, period. So you give me a show at 1:00 in the afternoon, I'm gonna be happy. So.
Yeah, and like I said, that was the weird thing for me. I was out that day, so I wasn't able to watch it live. But I was just walking around, and I was like thinking to myself, oh yeah, there is a show on right now in the afternoon at 1 p.m. on a Saturday. But like you said, we've gotten a couple of those shows before. It's always just kind of jarring for me still because I'm just so used to shows being, for the most part, I mean, still Sundays. It was Sundays, the longest 8, 9 o'clock. Watch it, I'd have school or something the next day, but they moved them over to Saturdays. Life goes on as I would watch more of it, but I was like, oh yeah, that is odd. But Chris, we'll get your thoughts now. As Tony mentioned, the overbooked kind of Vince Russo-esque booking of just here's a bunch of guys, come on out and start beating the crap out of each other. Kind of like the Attitude Era. They do that tons of just in the show. Everyone comes out and it's just kind of a wild free for all at the end. But I've seen Tony say, obviously he said it was kind of a B quality show. I've seen a lot of people kind of give that as well. Good show, really good show, but not, where like you'd hope like a WrestleMania or a major pay-per-view would be in terms of quality, but still a good watch overall. What were your thoughts?
To be honest, I haven't watched it yet. I'll be watching it probably either tonight or tomorrow. So I'll be ready to talk about some on our show Thursday, but I haven't watched it yet because I was out working Saturday during the day, and then I watched the fights and stuff that night. But I figured Cargill was going to win, even though I didn't think she was ready to win that. I figured she was going to win because it would hurt her more if she lost than it was going to hurt Oscar to lose. I was kind of surprised they took the title off of Fatu. That did kind of surprise me.
Yeah, I was a little bit.
A lot of people, thought that he was going to kind of have this monster-esque run. You know what I mean? Because he's just kind of been running through everyone since he debuted on the main roster. But we see now that Solo has the title, which I feel like adds kind of more intrigue back to him, and obviously the Bloodline group now. That it kind of lost, for a little bit. I feel that storyline just kind of tapered off. But now that the titles have switched, that kind of injects a little bit more something into it. Now we kind of see a Solo, and I believe that was his first. Was that his first singles title in the main roster?
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean he's been there for a couple of years at this point now, since 22, 23. So he finally got the rub there.
Did Ron Killings make an appearance?
No, he did on SmackDown, but it looks like he's going to be feuding with Aleister Black. Now Aleister Black attacked him because Ron Killings kept interrupting him. So it looks like there may be. I don't think he's done with Cena, but I think they're trying to give him something else too. So that happened, of course, in Saudi Arabia, but it happened on SmackDown.
And I'm kind of I'm kind of torn on this a little bit, Tony, because I think we all love R-Truth, Ron Killings, just because the guy's what, 53, 54, something like that. Yeah, and he's been wrestling since the 90s, since the late 90s. I mean, he's the only guy from the Attitude Era still on the show, which is still insane to believe. But, I get that, you're not going to have him go against Cena for long, obviously, but I thought maybe it would have been a little bit longer than 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Just personally, maybe a little bit longer. You'd have to take it out to the next pay-per-view, maybe, or you could add someone else to it. But obviously, I don't think it's like a downgrade for him because he's had, this is his last run too, probably. But I mean, now he gets to go up against Aleister Black, which is a guy who it seems like they have high hopes for.
Yeah,
and you would think that with this, Truth kind of becomes, instead of like the main guy, right? The guy's like, okay, yeah, you can point to him, he's going to win. It seems like now he's not going to be, putting guys over a ton, but he's going to be that kind of what you want, like a mid upper level heel character, to where they could easily win, but they're also going to have a good fight if they lose. And I think that's kind of what him and Aleister are going with now. And then I'll go back to Cargill real quick before I get your thoughts too. But you'd mentioned debuting her in NXT before going to the main roster. A thought would be, and what people have said online also, do you think that she should have had a winning streak like she did in AEW, in a way to where she was just kind of running through girls, and like I said, getting more exposure for her, for the brand and everything. And then once her in-ring work, improved to, I guess like a greater standard, then you call her up to the main roster as, instead of just, the top free agent coming in from, AEW, blah, blah, blah. It's someone who's been running through everyone in NXT. There's no one left. So she's going up to the main roster for better competition. And Chris, we'll start with you first, and Tony, we'll wrap it up with you.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done that. You could have had her run through girls on NXT. That'd been fine. She just needed to be. She needed to be in that developmental just to sharpen up her ring skills, because that's what hurts her. She has the look. I mean, she can. It's just she makes too many. Especially if you're somebody that watches a lot of wrestling, and then now that we started doing like what we do with the independent wrestling, you're backstage, you start to learn something more, a little bit how things work, and you see some of the mistakes that she is still making. And I mean, at that level, you shouldn't be still making those. But I understand why they done that. I mean, she had the name; they were trying to capitalize on the name that she already had. But I think you could have still kept that big name and had her in NXT to kind of develop her more that way. When she did go up to the main roster, she was more prepared. But if she keeps putting in the work, I think she'll get there. Just because of, I mean, the guy Triple H and then the trainers they got there, they're all. I mean, they know what they're doing. And from all accounts, it seems like she's a pretty hard worker. I think injuries have hurt her too. I think the injuries have kind of slowed some of the work she can do to try to improve. So hopefully maybe she can stay healthy and be able to improve a little quicker.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, you know, with an old saying, I believe it was Jim Ross would always say, is all sizzle but no steak. In terms of, you have the look, and by all means, Jade Gargill is one of the best. Just, you know, presentation wise, I mean, her entrance, her look, everything about her screams, you know, a top wrestler, a top performer in WWE. But like you said, the in-ring work, just kind of the small, you know, tips and trades you get along the way from, you know, working in indies or kind of, you know, going around, that she hasn't gotten to quite yet. But what would have been your suggestion, Tony, whenever, you know, you would have debuted her a while ago now up to this point?
Well, I mean, I know they didn't want to put her in NXT. I think she worked some there behind the scenes, and they put her with. I think they did the right thing by putting her in a tag team and protecting her with Bianca. But I don't think her problem is physical. I think her problem now is mental. I think she's in her own head, and I worry because, I mean, they can do anything that they can, but if you're in your own head, sometimes it's very difficult to get out of your own head. So I think because you can tell when she's wrestling that she's thinking. And you shouldn't be thinking. It should be, you know, come natural to you after you've done it so long. And you can tell that she's thinking the next thing, or she's trying to remember things. So I think that's one reason they try to feature her power stuff, which is definitely her go-to, and that's what they should. But her selling is terrible. She's stiff looking. She stands up too straight. She really can't sell at all, and that really hurts. You know, if the other person does anything at all, her selling just looks. It just don't look convincing. So let's put it that way. And so I don't know. I'm hoping that she can overcome it, but I don't know. Now her look on Saturday, she came out cosplayed Storm from the X-Men. And there's people that saying that she should be in the next movie of X-Men because
she looks like she could be.
Yes, it was. I don't know. Chris probably hasn't seen it yet, but it was fantastic. I mean, she's got the look, and I think she's even got the other problem is she's being a face, and she's not a face. She's a heel. She's 100% true heel. And I think if they would change her to a heel, she might get more comfortable in her own skin, and that might help her. So I think that would be the big suggestion. I think you need to find a way to get her heel, and I think she'd be more comfortable because that's what she was in AEW, and she was definitely more comfortable.
I mean, there's, you know, certain wrestlers I've watched over the years that we've all watched that you see them, you know, they flip from heel to babyface, and you say, okay, I see why they're trying this, but obviously you're so much better at one than the other. It's not like you don't enjoy it, but you don't enjoy as much because you like the character, right? I mean, that's like, you know, just some ones I can immediately think of in WWE, like The Miz, right? Whenever he's a face, I don't care for it. I mean, you know, you can tell he is the A-list guy who looks down on everyone. But like, I think with Jade, like you said, her in-ring, you know, ability is, you know, she just has to improve. But like I said, that just takes reps at this point. But the look and everything else, you know, she's got it. And like you said, I think on the mic, she can, you know, I think as a heel, she's a lot better. Kind of talking down, you know, to her opponent than, you know, the stereotypical babyface promos you get. But like I said, you know, obviously she's still very young in her career, and they'll have plenty of time to, you know, kind of mold her how they want. But Tony, just your final thoughts here on the show itself. Like I said, I love a good street fight, so I thought the Ripley and Raquel match was fun. If you enjoy, you know, kind of chaotic brawls like that. You know, I thought the Cody and Orton fight or match in the beginning, that was, you know, I mean, those two guys who they've been around forever, you know, it's going to be, you're at least going to get a solid match out of them too. You know what I mean? So that's good. I mean, same with Punk and Cena, you know, they fought each other 1,000 times, it feels like at this point. So they know each other like the back of their hand. But you know who the biggest loser of the night was? It was Ted DiBiase Jr. from watching at home or wherever he's at and saying, "Hey, I was supposed to be there." And things went south with old Ted, but
he's getting ready to go to jail, I think.
So he might be getting in ring shape, but that's just to be in the yard playing football, perhaps. So we'll see. But that was Night of Champions this week. Always fun to watch. You know, some wrestling, some MMA, a little bit of boxing. But we'll go back to the court here. We're going to talk some basketball.
just a heads up real quick for any wrestling fans out there. Just a reminder, Raw is on tonight at a special time. It's on at Netflix at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
Not,
sick,
not,
yeah.
not at 8. So people will be looking forward to 8 o'clock and it'll already be
It'll
going.
be there.
Yeah. So, it's at 6 p.m. tonight. They're in Pittsburgh, I believe.
I believe you're right with that. But like I said, they're back in the States, so
How you gonna watch Raw and do the show at the same time?
I'll have to watch it afterwards.
it's
We got
just
a show
have
at
a
6
play-by-play ready.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, let's go to the NBA now. And boy, free agency has already exploded in the NBA over the past couple of days. A lot of big names have been signed. Obviously, we're getting more and more seemingly by the minute here. Like, for example, one that came out at 157, and this isn't, a game changer, but free agent forward Nick Batum, he signed a 2-year, $11.5 million deal going back to LA with the Clippers. So that just kind of shows you how often these moves have been getting made. Some other ones that we saw over the weekend, and you guys can just talk about, whichever you prefer. We saw obviously the Lakers re-sign LeBron he exercised his player option. We saw the Houston Rockets and Jabari Smith Jr. inking a big deal, 5 years, 122. So I know Jay's happy about that. Interesting free agent now in DeAndre Ayton, who is going to be bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers. A lot of people are linking him to the Los Angeles Lakers. James Harden re-signing with the Clippers, 2 years, 81.5. The Jazz trading Colin Sexton to the Hornets for Yusuf Nurkic, an interesting move between two young teams. We see also Duncan Robinson's going to decline his contract with the Heat. He'll be a free agent, one of the best three-point shooters out there. And obviously, like I said, the Julius Randle deal, 3 years, $100 million. There's been so much, guys, over the past just handful of days in the NBA. And just kind of let's get your initial thoughts on this as we continue to monitor this throughout the rest of the week and however long this is going to go on for. But we'll start with you, Tony. Just your thoughts overall on all the moves that have been made. Pacers been quiet, not a whole lot out of them.
Well, I think they're worried about trying to get Turner re-signed. That's their main thing. The most interesting thing to me was that Anton from Portland getting bought out, and I think the Lakers would be a good fit. But there's other teams, but I think the Lakers will definitely go after him. I think that they need somebody. He averaged 14 points a game, I think, something like that, and about 10 or 11 rebounds a game. So I don't know if he's worth the big contract he was making because he was, but I think the Lakers are going to be in, but there'll be some other teams too. What do you guys think about Ball getting traded from the Bulls?
Going to Cleveland.
Going to Cleveland. I thought that was interesting. I know he don't play a whole lot because he's not been healthy, but I wonder if our friend Mikey is happy that Mr. Ball's finally out of Chicago.
Chris, I'll let you start. Mike probably has mixed feelings about that. I think he wanted the ball gone, but he also liked having the ball there. I agree. I think DeAndre Ayton is going to end up with the Lakers. The Lakers were trying to get big man last year. Thought they had Williams at the trade deadline, and then that trade fell through. And so they're looking for a big guy, and Ayton kind of fits that mold where he could play with Luka. So I think that's where they're going to go with that. I'm interested to see if the Pacers get if they do sign Miles Turner, or if he ends up going somewhere else. I think he's going to be with the Pacers. But they do have him ranked as the number one free agent available right now. So that'd be interesting. I think Ball to Cleveland is a good move for Cleveland because they're not bringing him there as a guy that they're dependent on to be like their number 2 or number 3 guy. To bring a guy like him that can facilitate the ball off their bench, I think is a good pickup for Cleveland, and it gives them a little more experience because they're a pretty young team, and I think we saw some of their youth show up in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Lonzo is he's not going to get you 20 and 10 and anything like that, obviously, like you would get for big name guys. But he's someone who, can score, at times, but is obviously more so, like you said, he's that, pass first type of player, like he was, out of college at UCLA. But I think it's a good move for Cleveland as they, kind of retool a little bit as we saw that they needed to. They dominated the regular season, but they couldn't get done in the playoffs. So they knew coming into the offseason they got to make some moves, and I think this is a good pickup for them, getting Lonzo Ball. But Chris, what were just the other thoughts on just going around the league? A lot of the big guys getting signed and some rookie contracts getting extended.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that got signed. LeBron. I think the Lakers. To me, giving LeBron $50-something million at this point, and don't get me wrong, he's still a good player. He still play, but if you're trying to win a championship and build a championship roster, to have Luke, you have Luke on that team who's 25. To me, it's time. It's time to start. You should move on from LeBron, use that money, and start building for the future. Because you're almost essentially just wasting another year of wasting a year of Doncic's prime with the Lakers, because with the roster they have and then the money they have wrapped up in LeBron and him, and it looks like they might lose Austin Reeves if they end up. I mean, you lose him, they don't have a lot of leeway to really improve that roster. So to me, I think it worked out better for the Lakers if LeBron would have not picked up the player option, and they would have went ahead and moved on from him this year. But of course, that wasn't going to happen. They're not going to do that. But I think it would have been smarter. I don't know. You're just giving a guy that much money, especially with these the new salary cap rules. We're seeing that a lot of the teams that are being successful. Look at OKC. Look at the Pacers. It wasn't about having having the big name superstars. It was more of having depth and having a team. Even though OKC had SGA, but they went out. They don't have like a big three or anything. Williams looks like he's going to be a real good number 2, but they're more of a team. And you're starting to see the depth in the playoffs. That's what helped the Thunder was their depth, and that was a big reason the Pacers made their run was the bench of the Pacers. I think with the new salary cap, it's just smarter not to build your roster so top heavy on a couple big stars where you're paying them so much.
Yeah, and Tony, let's get your thoughts on everything you've seen and with that specifically with the Lakers, perhaps.
One thing that I seen Shams today, and he says that there's still he's not predicting it or anything, but he's saying there's still a chance LeBron could get moved. He could if he doesn't like the moves the Lakers make, say they go out and get Anton, and he doesn't think that that's what they need to do, he could then ask for a trade, and it's a lot easier. The way Shams was explaining it, it was the best move for him to opt in and get that money than it would have been to go free agency, because a lot of people wouldn't have been able to afford him free agent, and this would be a lot easier way for him to go somewhere else. So, do you guys think there's much of a chance that LeBron could be gone?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know who would take him. Like I said, I mean, it is a lot of money, but I mean, he's still performing at a high level. We see he's not playing as many games, but I mean, he's still getting you 24, 9 and 8 or 9 and 7. I mean, at age 39 now, heading into 40. So I mean, it's interesting. It really is an interesting case. You know what I mean? Because he's not like he's a veteran that isn't scoring anything. I mean, he is the oldest player in the league. But he's still giving you top 20 numbers in all, 3 major statistical categories. I mean, we haven't seen it before.
He can come play for the Pacers for a season if
you'll take him for a year.
If he comes at a discount price, he can come take Halliburton's spot for a season while Halliburton gets held up, and then he can retire.
I'm not even
a LeBron fan.
Tony.
I'm not a LeBron fan either. Yeah, but yeah, he would probably. The only thing you got to worry about, though, and that could happen with anybody. I mean, Halliburton went down. He did have an injury, but at his age, when could he hit the wall? I mean,
how many years we've been saying that though?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No doubt about it. But $52 million is a lot of money. If game 15 he hits the wall and breaks down, and I think he does a lot of stuff right. Physically he rests a lot. I think he does all the things he needs to do. So I don't think he will get hurt. I think you're probably right. Yeah, I don't know. I know that Sham said one team that is a good team and that could afford to do the deal would be Detroit, but.
Ooh.
But do you want to give up that? What would you have to give up to get them? He said the other teams are more teams that have a lot of stuff that they could give up and a lot of draft capital and got a lot of money, are teams that are not real good. So I don't know if if LeBron leaves, he's going to try to win a championship.
No doubt.
So it's going to have to be somebody, with Golden State or somebody like that be interested in them. And do they have enough to give up to get them? And then Lakers may be losing another free agent that what's his name?
Dorian Finney-Smith. I believe he declined his contract. Yeah. But to that point, Tony, now since you see that he declined his deal, a lot of people are saying, well, they told him basically to decline because they are going to go and get DeAndre Ayton. They're going to go sign him with that money now to kind of fill that roster spot. Which that totally makes sense to me. You lose one big guy, you gain another. So that definitely could be the possibility if that's what they were going for, losing, Finney-Smith, who was also in that Luka trade.
Chris, wasn't Ayton was supposed to be a Pacer at one point?
Yep.
Yeah, there was a deal done and then something happened. But yeah, he originally at one point he was going to be a Pacer.
Yeah, they were going to make the trade with Phoenix, and then something happened and the trade fell through.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought that was right. Could the Pacers be?
Actually, I don't even know if it was a trade. I think he might have been like a restricted.
So that's what it is.
Yeah,
he was a restricted match the offer.
We made an offer, but then they end up matching our offer.
Yeah, it was for 4 years, $133 million. Indiana offered him that, but since he was a restricted free agent, Phoenix picked it up, and then we saw they pretty much immediately traded it because it didn't work with Durant out there in Phoenix with that kind of company.
Chris, I got a question for you, and all you Pacer fans out there, don't go crazy on me. Let me go ahead and finish what I got to say.
Let them get it.
I'm a big Turner fan, but Chris, how do you think the fit would be if you didn't get Turner and you went after Anton instead? He's a different type player. He's definitely a better rebounder. And he is a rim protector. Don't know if he's as good as rim protector as Turner. And he definitely don't have the 3-point shooting that Turner has. What do you think?
I don't want him. I want Miles Turner.
Okay.
I think I just don't think he's a good fit with the style we play.
Okay.
I don't see Ayton going to be running up and down the court at that pace like the Pacers play. Like and Siakam and Turner can do that. And Turner's his rim protection. I know he didn't shoot the ball well in the playoffs. He shot the ball good all year. Or I shouldn't say playoffs, in the finals, he didn't shoot the ball well. But his defense in that final was huge. What he was doing, blocking shots. He's always one of the top shot blockers in the league. And then just his defense. I mean, yeah, Holmgren had a couple of good games. There were games where Holmgren disappeared, and Turner was a big part of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and
wise, I think Turner fits a lot better with the Pacers than a guy like Ayton.
He's a big fan.
I think we're going to get a big guy. If we're going to move on from Turner, we got to get a athletic big. Ayton's not very quick on his feet. He just don't fit. He don't fit our style, the style of play that the Pacers are trying. Well, we're trying to play them this season, and the style of play might be a little different because we don't have the engine running it.
Mm-hmm.
True.
We'll see what happens. And like I said, the NBA free agency, already a lot's happened, and a lot more will happen, I'm sure, between just the end of today's show and tomorrow. But we're going to talk a little bit of WNBA at this time before we wrap up the show talking about the NFL. And it was announced today, guys, that WNBA, they are continuing to expand. They're going to be announcing 3 new teams. First one's going to be the Cleveland in 2028, followed by Detroit in 2029, and finally Philadelphia will get a team in 2030. So, I mean, guys, the league just keeps expanding and expanding. And also just an interesting just kind of note here, the Detroit minority owners are Grant Hill, Chris Webber, and Jared Goff with the Lions. So they're like I said, they're minority owners, but they're still part of the team. But to me, I mean, the league is really, obviously we know it's exploding and it's going really well in terms of popularity. And we're going to bring in Big Glenn here real quick. First off, Glenn, how you doing, man? What's
Doing
going
great,
on?
man. How about you guys?
Not too bad.
Good. Good.
Can't complain. Glenn, did you put money on Chase Elliott this weekend?
I kind of wish I did.
Come on, he's the hometown guy.
Yeah. His runs at Atlanta have been hit and miss over the couple of years. He's either been very good or very bad. So
Understood.
but
Just
yeah,
gotta go.
that was amazing Saturday night, though.
Yeah, some good racing over the weekend. But guys, going back to the WNBA, getting 3 new franchises in the next handful of years. That will take them to, I believe, 18 at that point as we continue to grow. And Glenn, we'll just go ahead and bring you in on this. Just your overall thoughts on the league adding more teams.
Well, that also means now I can go to more cities now when people go up there and play, So I like that we got Detroit and Cleveland back in the fold because they were some of the original teams of the W, So
Yeah, and also, I mean, Cleveland used to have a team. It was the Rockers and the Shock, the 2 former teams. So, now it's kind of cool, for the fans in the city, in those cities that they get those teams back. In Philadelphia now coming into the fold as well. So that'll be interesting. But Chris, let's get your thoughts, man, on the Fever getting more opponents to hopefully, for y'all's sake, hopefully beat.
It's just an interesting time to me for expansion. I mean, it's cool that they're expanding, but you're adding 3 more teams to a league that was more popular. The most popular it had been last year, and still lost over $50 million as a league. So I don't know if to me it's smart to keep expanding when you're losing money. But I do think it's cool that some, like you guys said, some of the teams cities that used to have teams got teams back. So I mean, it's cool. Hopefully it keeps growing. Hopefully they can turn some of this popularity into the league growing and making money, and they can keep growing. But I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit of a weird time to expand. I would have thought you would try to get things going in the right direction, then expand. But it is cool to see some of the like you guys said, original cities come back.
Yeah, and Tony, like Chris had mentioned, that you're adding more teams in the next 5-6 years. In a way, kind of betting on yourself, right? Because, like I said, that they're still trying to make money off of this, and I'm sure, like I said, they've gotten a ton. I'm sure over the last year and a half. But I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's a good move, but I mean, are you obviously excited to see these brand new teams coming in up till 2030?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Chris. I got kind of mixed feelings. I think you're right. I think they're betting on themselves. I think they think they're moving in the right direction. I mean, I think that's obvious because that's why they're making the move. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you lost $50 million last year, and you've got players that have been talking about going on strike. I mean, that would kill the league if that happened. I don't think it'll happen. I think that hopefully they're smart enough to know that this ain't the time to do it. And I understand they may be underpaid. I mean, but then again, when the league's losing money, how can you say you're underpaid? So it's kind of a catch-22 for me on that. And then Jay may be upset because he was wanting Houston to get a women's team back. He'll be upset because he won one of the teams. But yeah, I think it's interesting time. But we'll see.
Yeah, I know Jay was a little pissed when he saw that.
Yeah, and he's going to be upset when he knows that the AL West is not the best division. And that goes back to our group chat the other night.
Yeah. All right, well, guys, let's go talk some football action here. I mean, just a big trade that happened today. The Steelers and the Dolphins making a trade that will see Jalen Ramsey head out to the Steel City, and in exchange, the Dolphins getting Minkah Fitzpatrick. So, and also Jonnu Smith is going to head out as well in that deal. So, what were your thoughts on this trade? We don't see a whole lot of player for player big name trades like this in the NFL, especially with two secondaries. So, Tony, we'll start off with you, man, and you just kind of get your initial thoughts on who won this trade.
I like it for Pittsburgh, especially with getting the tight end. I think they needed another weapon for Rodgers. I think he will help tremendously. I know they talked about that. They look like their number two is going to be a guy named Austin, a young guy, and they got faith in him. And of course, you know who their number one receiver is going to be. They got a heck of a defensive player. Some people will say think he may be the best defensive. Best cornerback in the league. You know, and that could be debatable, but I like it. I think that Pittsburgh's trying to go all in as much as they can, and I think they've got a lot of faith in Rodgers, and it's pretty interesting. I was surprised by the move. I wasn't expecting anything like this. So, but I don't think the Dolphins did bad, but I mean Fitzpatrick's a hell of a player too. But in my opinion, I think the Steelers won the deal. In my opinion.
Yeah, and Chris, we'll head it over to you now and just your thoughts with this. Jonnu Smith joins, and he's kind of that veteran to pair with Pat Freiermuth in Pittsburgh, who's looked really good since he debuted. And they might run some 2 tight end sets. They might just have Smith there as a blocker while Freiermuth runs routes, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, it feels like the Steelers are obviously they're pushing, right? They're pushing to get over their, sub 500 or right at 500 mark the last handful of years, or, you make the playoffs, you get immediately knocked out. We saw, obviously, they got DK Metcalf earlier in the offseason, and now by getting, Jalen Ramsey, who, as Tony said, a lot of people consider one of, if not one of the best corners in the league. But you do have to give up Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is one of the best young safeties in the game. So I think for me, and I'll get your thoughts, it feels like the Steelers are pushing their chips in. They're saying, look, we got a limited time with Rodgers. It's now or never. And for Miami, it sucks to give away Jalen Ramsey, but you still hopefully get, maybe a younger, in a sense, Jalen Ramsey, star potential with Fitzpatrick, who's already looked really good for Pittsburgh since he's debuted. But I don't know if that's Miami taking a big step like it is Pittsburgh. But let's just get your thoughts overall on the trade.
Yeah, I think I like the trade for Pittsburgh. They needed a corner, and getting Ramsey's going to help them. But what worries me most with Pittsburgh right now is they got to figure out the TJ Watt situation.
Yep.
Because now reports are coming out that there's a lot of teams calling about Watt, and they're trying to get Watt from him. And I guess Watt's not happy with the way this contract situation is being handled. So he hasn't reported to none of the training camp stuff. So are they going to get him? Because no matter if you got you can go trade for Ramsey. That's going to help your defense. But if you don't have TJ Watt, it ain't going to matter. So, I mean, they got to get down their defense. I think getting Smith to bring in another tight end was a good move. And I think that was something they did to help Rodgers. If you look, when Rodgers was in Green Bay, he always had a kind of an older experience tight end to go with whoever the other tight end was. He had what's his name, Mercedes.
Lewis.
I think it was Mercedes Lewis there in Green Bay for years. And I mean, he's always liked having one of those guys, or might be more using for more of a blocker, but sometimes he hits them for big passes, but a lot of times for a blocker. So I think that was a good move. But I also don't think it's a bad move for the Dolphins. And the Dolphins freed up some money too, because the Steelers are going to be paying most of Ramsey's contract now. So it frees up some salary cap space for Miami, and I'm sure they're probably going to be looking for a tight end as well.
Yeah, and Big Glenn, let's get your thoughts on this. A kind of blockbuster trade in the NFL.
Yes, it definitely makes Pittsburgh better. Aaron Rodgers needs another weapon, obviously, because they didn't have really a whole lot to begin with. But now they got him in there, so they look like they're gonna be all right.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I did see here a potential help for Aaron Rodgers, and that is going to be Tyler Boyd. It said that there are rumors that he wants to play for Pittsburgh because that's his hometown. He was at a youth camp in the city. He talked to a local paper. Basically, they were just asking him if he wanted to be play for the home team? He said, absolutely. He says, all my family's here. I'd love to be able to have the majority of them could be able to support me. So he's 30. He's coming off a year where he was in Cincinnati for a long time, but he signed a 1-year deal with the Titans. He caught 39 passes for 390 yards. So obviously he's not going to be, your star guy, but that's someone who can help out, from time to time. Which, I mean, hey, you can never have enough receivers on your team. So I think it would be a nice flyer there. Also, what's going on, Joe? Jay, I forget where Jay said he is, but he's going to be out for a couple days, but he'll be back sooner rather than later. But guys, I think that's pretty much about it for any of the major stuff I can see here. In baseball, I mean, Pena. I know Jay won't talk about this. Pena is going to the IL as a rib fracture, so that will be interesting to see here. And just give me your thoughts on the Reds, guys. You're going up against the Boston Red Sox. Later on tonight, 7:10 Eastern start. I mean, pretty much even in terms of records. What are your thoughts overall on the Reds? So far this season, I kind of feel like we're all in the same boat here because we both thought our teams might be a lot better, or at least a little bit better than where they currently are in the standings. But Chris, we'll go to you first, and just kind of your thoughts on any of the baseball news or just the Reds in specific.
With the Reds here over the last about 2-3 weeks, we've been really playing some pretty good baseball. We won, if I remember correctly, six of our last 7 series. If I remember correctly, we won. And I think we won like 16 of our last 20 games or something like that. We lost the series we lost was to the freaking Cardinals in our division, and then we go beat the Tigers. Beat the Padres in the series. Yankees in the series, but we just beat the Padres in the series and had a good chance to sweep them. And we blew a game that we were up 3-0 in on Saturday, or we would have had to sweep. But I like where the Reds have been. We're getting healthy. Now we just need to get Hunter Green back. Like I said, we've had Hunter Green out on the injured list 2 or 3 times already this season. But Andrew Abbott been pitching. I mean, you can almost say he's been our number 1 pitcher. He's been pitching real good. So our pitching staff's been good. Our bats are that was our problem at the beginning of the season was we couldn't consistently score runs. We've been scoring runs here lately, and we just got Austin Hayes back. I like where the Reds are heading. I think we still need to. I'd like to see them either get a closer, or maybe try to add another bat at the trade deadline. But I think if we keep playing like we've been playing, we have a good chance. We have a good chance of getting in the playoffs, either catching up with the Cubs in our division or getting a wild card.
Yeah, and Tony, let's get your thoughts on the team.
Yeah, we're 14-7 for the month of June, so we're definitely playing better, winning series. I think it's tough. We've had some injuries. Every team gets that. They just got to work through them. We get Hayes back and get Green back. I mean, losing Green hurt, but losing Hayes, because Hayes, when he's been there, has been our best hitter by far.
Well, he came back over the weekend.
Okay, he is back. Okay, and De La Cruz is really starting to come alive too. McLean is. We're starting to play pretty well. I think the team and the manager's getting used to each other. Just got to win series. I mean. I think we're in a good position. I mean, still got, quite a bit of time left. I mean, we're not even hit the All-Star break yet. And just for Jay, real quick, I did want to bring up Houston was the best team in the month of June by far. I think they've only lost like 6 games in the month of June, if that many. So they've been the best team in baseball in June.
Don't make his head any bigger. Come on now.
He's not here, and we can't see it grow, Meanwhile, I here in Atlanta, I just love to win a couple of series here and there. Maybe get some run support here and there. Just something, please. Anything. It's a little scared right now, guys, because we were able to. We lost. So we beat the Mets, right? We got a 3-game sweep of them. Then we lost a series to the Marlins. We only got 1 win in that one. We split with the Mets, so I wish we would have got 3 or 4, but yeah, you'll take a split. Then it hurts because then you drop 2 of 3 to Philadelphia. You lose last night 2-1. off tonight before you taking on the Los Angeles Angels, who've been playing actually some pretty decent baseball. They're 41-41. Obviously, you know, they're playing with a lot of emotion right now since Ron Washington, their current skipper, is going to be out for the remainder of the year due to some health issues. Hopefully, he's able to get all that worked out and get back on the field. But you know, he kind of instilled in them, you know, how to win. It didn't work last year, obviously, we saw, but it was kind of the building blocks to what we've seen so far this year. And a team who, you know, I mean, I didn't expect them to be quite this good, you know, almost halfway into the season. So in past years, it would have been, all right, it's a cakewalk. You know, you should have gotten some easy wins here. But I am a little worried about it's going to be tomorrow night's game, 7:15 Eastern with that one. But the only reason I'm worried is because we have Didier Fuentes on the mound. Young guy. He's only pitched 2 games, I believe, for just under 9 innings. So he's still very fresh, and he hasn't looked great. He's 0-2 with a 10.80 ERA. He's given up 14 hits in total, 3 home runs. So hasn't looked super sharp. You're hoping that maybe this is the one you can turn around with, because, I mean, if you know, it's a mix of just injuries, but also I mean, just not a great free agency in terms of helping your pitching staff. And I mean, it ain't like, you know, there's a whole lot of great stuff in the minors right now either. The AAA team is, you know, almost bottom of the barrel. But it's tough right now. It's tough right now. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that we're getting Jurickson Profar back, because, yeah, we'll get him back, but he's not going to be with us in the postseason. Yeah. So it'll help you maybe get some wins in the regular season as you fight for a wild card spot at this point. But he's not going to be there in the postseason. So you still have to fill something at the trade deadline if you want to be competitive, because since he's been down, and I mean, you didn't really even get to see a whole lot with him before he got suspended. But I mean, it's just kind of been a black hole in left field, you know. But I mean, to be fair though, they've thrown a bunch of guys there. We had Fairchild. We picked him up from y'all. He's the, you know, he had a good game the other night, but he's not Jurickson Profar in terms of stats. Yeah, I mean, so it's been tough. It's been tough. I mean, Ronald Acuna has been red hot, which is great to see. Spencer Strider starting to pick it back up. So your main 2 guys are looking good. But you're hoping some of the guys can just pick up with the bats, like Michael Harris and Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson from time to time. Sean Murphy did good the other day. He had a grand slam, but just a couple of guys who just have not looked great at the dish this year, and you're hoping they can get it going sooner rather than later before it really kind of, you know, goes off into a tailspin to end the season. So we'll see what happens there. But guys, any other final thoughts you want to talk about here today before we wrap up the show and get on with the rest of our Monday? Tony, we'll start with you.
You mentioned 2 of my surprise teams for this year. Atlanta being in the situation they're in, I did not expect that at all. And then also the Angels, who expected them to be 500 right now. So, I mean, they're playing really inspired baseball, like you said. And another thing, shout out to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who put it on the Mets this weekend. Beat them. I mean, they swept them, but not only did they sweep them, they just beat the crap out of the Mets. So I don't know what's going on with the Mets, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, Chris, your thoughts?
No, yeah, I agree. I did not think the Pirates was going to beat the Mets like they did, and then the Angels have been better than what we all thought. I think the Tigers. I mean, I know they were getting better. They played pretty good last year, but they've surprised me this year that they've been there for most of the season so far, having the best record in baseball. So I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd be maybe the best team in baseball. I know the Dodgers have had some injuries and stuff. The Yankees have been a little up and down. It'll be interesting when we get through this All-Star break and get into the last month of the season. There should be some interesting storylines going on. So, and then because I'm ready for that, because that's really the only sport we got going on right now until football gets back.
Yeah, that's pretty much it right now. But we'll see what happens, guys. It's already been a lot going on here. NBA free agency, NFL, WNBA, some MMA, boxing, wrestling news, all here today on the afternoon show, our sports variety show. And, of course, you can check out all of our previous shows and also the rest of the shows here on the network in our link tree in our description. I'll take you to all of our social medias, Facebook, YouTube, X account, TikTok, etc., etc. You can see our shows and the rest of these guys' shows that put up great work each and every single day. For Tony and Chris Gonzalez, thank you guys so much for coming on today. And I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Until tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you again on another episode here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network.